ready?
I'm ready. No, still ready. Go, go, go!
Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Anthony Conchin. I'm here with Mark Tisdale Jr., and we're here to start our brand new podcast. Happy New Year to everyone. And with the new year, we want to bring in a new show. So, hey, Mark, how you been doing?
Well, good, man. Real excited for this. I'm really glad you called me, and we had these conversations going on for a little while, and yeah, this is going to be fun. Hopefully, dive into some new territory for me too. So it's going to be a good time, I think.
No, for sure. I mean, Mark is, many people out there may or may not know, you and I compete in rally in the United States. We do our fair share of races, but when we're not doing that, we want to be able to expand our motorsports knowledge and perhaps give our opinion on some things that goes on in motorsports every day. I know that, I follow stuff like Formula One, something that, you don't follow as much, but I think that maybe you'll pick a little bit of that up now.
Yeah, man. Oh, absolutely. Formula One is great. I mean, you getting into the iRacing thing here has kind of opened my eyes up into it a little bit here. Maybe Formula One and Indy would be fun to watch too. I mean, and
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people who likes all types of motorsports. Obviously, I have my favorites, and I think with this program, what we're going to do is, at the very beginning, it's probably going to be very rally heavy, very NASCAR heavy. Repping my NASCAR Everyday shirt here. But as the seasons go on and different competitions start going, I definitely want to delve into a lot of more motorsports, talk about the history, the safety, maybe something happened on the track, and maybe Mark, you and I can discuss and see what our thoughts are on that. It's like you said the other day when we were talking over the phone. You've never seen MotoGP or wanted to follow a little bit closer, and so do I. Stuff like that, Mark.
Yeah, see, I'm a four-wheel guy. I'm not really big on motorcycles at all. I don't really have too much of interest of owning one and driving one, just because, it's a little bit more open. I got kids now. I'm a little more safety conscientious. So, but man, I've been watching a lot of, Facebook kind of puts out these videos of MotoGP here recently. That Marc Marquez guy. I mean, he's fantastic. So I've been watching a lot of videos of that. I'm like, you know what? I could probably watch this, a lot more closely than I, ever have. I mean, it's pretty intense. It's crazy to watch. That's what we're talking about with, maybe diving into more motorsports that maybe I don't watch. I mean, I love NASCAR. I love rally. I love, but I mean, I can get into other motorsports and sit down and watch it and just be super intrigued about, the differences in, one sport to the other. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like you said, I'm also someone who feels a lot more secure with a roof over my head.
Absolutely.
And we definitely got to experience that once. Roofs do work.
I've had it a couple of times.
That's right. And we'll get into those stories as the episodes on the podcast continue. But yeah, in recent years, I've gotten into Supercross, the shortened version of motocross, and that's always been pretty cool. And so, yeah, it's definitely nice to delve into different types of motorsports. Like for me, I'll give an instance. I've been going to the 24 Hours of Daytona now 4 years in a row consecutively. Unfortunately, this year, Corona kind of took that away from me. And last year, I guess, at this point, and this year, we're going to go see. But it's kind of disappointing because as I was looking for tickets, I found out that they actually canceled all infield access. They canceled the garage passes. They canceled the drivers' meet and greets, and you can only be 6 feet apart on the grandstand. So I don't know if that's something that's going to happen this year. But let me tell you, endurance 24 hours racing, it's insane. You could never really believe that these engines are designed to run at 100% for 24 hours. So it's things like that we really want to talk about and delve into things that you and I like you said, you're a huge NASCAR fan. I'm a huge NASCAR fan. But as we've had conversations in the past, I think we both look at it from different perspectives. As I can see, you're wearing your traditional Dale Earnhardt shirt. And
oh yeah, man.
I know that he stood for something in the sport and still does. And, I tend to tell people I look at it from the Jimmy Johnson lens or point of view. And, they're both valid views, but I think that's how the sport has evolved. And, it'll be fun to get into some of that, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
I think at this point, let's talk to people and tell them how we met, because I think it's an interesting story of how we became friends, how we became business partners, how you became my co-driver, and things like that. So, Mark, take it away.
All right, man. So yeah, me and Anthony met probably, I would say, like maybe late 2010. Rally America was doing rally crosses in the United States, bringing that European sport over here to America. I mean, it was exciting times. I had done some rally before. You had done some rally before. You had the car kind of laying around, We'd just been chatting back and forth on Facebook. And we didn't really know each other too well. We just had a lot of the same common friends. We'd been involved in the same sport. So, you just kind of, we just kind of struck me as a good person, to know and have conversations with. So that's kind of where that relationship just kind of evolved right there, just messaging on Facebook back and forth. You mentioned that you had a rallycross coming up. I was very interested in, just helping somebody out who I kind of believed in, through our conversations. And I was like, hey, man, how about I give you, some money for, your endeavor here, and you let me throw a sticker on your car. I'll come out and support. And from there, man, that's just kind of where things grew, where things blossomed.
No, for sure. And it's one of those things, from time to time, you'll receive messages from people on Facebook, and you don't know if it's real, if it's a scam, what it is. But when I had my initial conversations with you, it was great to meet someone who understood what I was doing, who understood what I was trying to do at the time, get involved in motorsports, and more specifically rally. Because, for me, for being someone from Philly, stick and ball sports, great sports city out here. But outside of that, people don't even consider motorsports or racing a sport. And so to hear someone who lives in Delaware, who understands what rally is, first I was surprised, but then I was like, oh, this is great. I'll have a new friend that lives around here and can, we can shoot ideas back and forth and support each other with. You're right. That when Rally America had the U.S. Rallycross, it was something I wanted to do because, it looked so cool on TV. And I wanted to do it, but of course, at the low budget teams, I'm afraid to hit my car because I know that that's going to cost me money out of my pocket, and things like that. But of course, you offered some money, and that was great. But even when you did offer it, I was like, yeah, this ain't going to happen. But we agreed. I went to the track, and you showed up. You showed up, and you were a man of your word, and you definitely helped us out, and that was great. And I actually took great pleasure in seeing someone who's of their word and came out to help and kind of see what happened, and you kind of put your hands in there and helped us out. So that was always a great situation. I know after that I had done a rally with my cousin, but after that I kind of had a conversation with you and see if you were interested. I know you had done a little bit of rally. But, of course, having these conversations with you, seeing that you're a man of your word, the next best step was like, hey, why not you have you join on a program with me and, try to grow together. So that's kind of how we got started.
That was awesome. You asked me if I wanted to do the silly seat. I was, I'm a little scared of that side of the car, to be honest. But, I had never done it. I had seen it done, and I really don't feel like you get a good appreciation for your co-driver until you actually try one or two of those. And it's like, oh man, it's a little different over here. But I feel like, because I had driven in like 3 or 4 rallies, and I was just kind of like, okay, the co-driver stuff is kind of easy, like you just kind of like, man, is it work? It's hard to really describe how much is going on that side of the car at all times. You're controlling your driver, hey man, we got to slow down, we're in transit, or, go as fast as you can go. Or, we got some technical sections coming up, we're just going to we're going to make sure that we're, pushing the boundary, but we're also being safe, So yeah, I was a little hesitant at first to do the co-driving thing, but I had some confidence that, maybe once we got a couple stages under our belt, I could really give you like a decision, I want to keep doing this, or, maybe the side of the car isn't for me. And it just really has worked out, for me.
For both of us.
Yeah, we can continue this kind of partnership. I feel like this has been great. Over the years.
For sure. No, and I definitely have to say I give credit to anyone who sits in a rally car on both sides, but more specifically on the right side of the car there. I know personally that's something that I could never do. I'm not even a good passenger in a passenger car, let alone a car going at full speed. So I know that a lot of times from all the way at the top at the World Rally Championship level to all the way down at your local rallycross, people who sit at the right hand side don't get a lot of the credit that they truly deserve, because it's not just a driver's thing. A driver gets all the credit, but it's the guy to the right hand side there that's doing a job. And the better that you can communicate with them, the better that you're going to have. I remember our first rally. As a matter of fact, I remember us trying to figure out the map, trying to figure out the intercoms, trying to figure out the helmets, trying to figure out everything. And you know what? It was it didn't go well. We DNF'd. I still have that little fuel filter that kind of screwed our day up.
Oh wow! I didn't know you still had that.
Yeah,
that's kind of crazy.
I saved that as one of our mementos.
Man,
but the idea was that every stage that we kept going, our communication kept getting better and better. What wasn't getting better is that I couldn't hear you for anything. And so the traditional a little louder, Mark. That's kind of got into one of our trademarks there. It's been a couple of years, Mark, that I've worked with you. You've worked with me, and we've gotten through a lot of things. Going from our first race to our first flip, and like I said, in future episodes, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah.
I definitely publicly want to thank you, because like I said, without you, without a co-driver or someone that I can trust, it wouldn't be possible. I couldn't go by myself, and I really wouldn't want anyone else there. We did have a situation at one point where I had a sub-in co-driver, and he was great. Nothing against him. But you're my guy. You're my number one guy. And in motorsports and in sports in general, there's a guy that you click with, a guy who you can trust your life with. And that's basically what it is. Racing, while, it's fun. If you tell me a wrong turn, or if I do a wrong maneuver, both of us are in trouble, and both of us have the consequences, and we live through that. But no, thank you. And thank you for your family for allowing you to do this.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's good. No problem at all, man. It's the same thing, man. Thanks for, just trusting me. And, we go out and we have a really good time. So, I mean, it's sometimes, we're out there and we're frustrated and it's work, but most of the time, man, we're just having a blast. It's a good time.
We always joke around with Tiffany, your wife, that our relationship during the rally weekend is like the stock market. We got our ups and then we got our downs.
Oh my gosh.
We got our downs again.
Is that the most true thing ever? I mean, race weekends, it's long nights, it's no sleep, it's, cussing at each other every once in a while, but at the end of the day, hey man, you want another beer? Let's see.
At the end of the day, we've become very good friends, and I think that being friends outside of the car has definitely helped our relationship inside of the car. There's a lot of people that race at all levels that maybe just meet for the race weekend and that's it. But I think having fun, breaking bread, so to speak, individually has helped our communication along. Mark, as much as you and I have gotten along together for all this time, we've also met a lot of good people along the way. I'm hoping that in future episodes, we can invite some of these people. Some of these people have been crucial to our advancement in the world of rally, have helped us, had sponsored us, and done things like that. And I know that, you've met with a lot of the folks that we've worked with. And won't you, give us a little bit of your opinion on with the people that we've worked?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, Yeah, we there's definitely a lot of great people out there that we've worked with, and a lot of people in the industry that have helped us along the way. Um, whether that's development or helping us get cars together or whatever, man. It's been a real good time, and very thankful and grateful for those who have you know reached their hand out to shake ours to give us a hand when we need it, or have offered to help. It's been great.
And that's the key word, that when we've reached out to people, a lot of people have said no. A lot of people have been like, oh, you guys aren't proven. And that's fine. That's well and good in the racing industry. But for those people who have definitely helped us, who have laid a hand, I mean, we literally have people from all the way out in Oregon that have helped us, to Missouri, to New Jersey, and a little bit everywhere.
And they fly out and they show up and they kill it. I mean, it's great.
Exactly. We even have international help when I have, most of my mother's family come from Ecuador, and then they'll come in and lend a hand, even if there is a language barrier sometimes.
It's a good time.
But it's a good time. It's a good time. And the rally community is also a tight-knit group, so it's good that whenever we are at service, and if we need help from another team, other teams have come to help us, all the way from the big teams to the small teams. And I think our guys have also shown that same support and love for other teams as well. And so we help each other, even though we're competitors out there on the roads. But so moving on, Mark, we definitely want to talk more about rally and our experiences and our stories. I think that's something that the people out there would like to hear, especially people that may be trying to get into rally and kind of hear about the realities of what rally is, what it costs, what it takes to do what we do. Because again, it's nice when you see a car, it's got all the nice stickers and it's ready to start on the start line. But it definitely takes a lot of work to get it done.
Oh yeah, the cars don't start that way. You can't just go into your local dealership and say, hey man, I want this car just like this, ready to go. It's like, woo. I mean, you've got some places that'll fab that up for you, but you're not going into your dealership and getting that done. So do your research and
And we can definitely help as a source of information,
Absolutely.
Or if we can't answer the question, we can definitely guide you to people in the industry that can. Rally can be a great sport. Rally can, you don't have to be running the top teams at the top cars. You can start from the bottom, which is what we've done, at a low budget. And, we get to say that we race Rally America. Well, not Rally America anymore. It's the ARA Rally.
Yeah, well, it's okay. It's happened to me a couple of times. I'm like, oh yeah, Rally America. Well, wait, hold on. That's not a thing anymore. But
right. We've gotten to race a couple of races. We're not at the point where we've done an entire season. One of the years I got to do multiple races in a year, and I'll tell a story about how that came about, because that's another interesting story. But yeah, we could definitely talk a little bit more about how the industry works, what doesn't, and at least what our experience has been.
And hopefully we'll dive into like other people's experience at the same time, because our experience isn't, just the only one out there that's either been a success or flop. So hopefully, you've got guys out there with their own stories that can, we can chat with, and
for sure,
hopefully that will help people out.
Yes, part of having this program out here, it's not just to hear Mark and I speak. It's we want to get people involved. We want to have the people that have helped us to come and tell their story from their point of view, because every story has a different point of view. And so we'll look forward to have guests, inside and outside of the industry, but something always with an eye of something in the automotive/racing industry. And so I think that'll be fun. I have a couple people in mind that are kind of lined up to participate, and I think it'll be great to hear their experiences and what it is that we do in rally. But moving along, like I said, this program isn't going to be dedicated just to rally or just to NASCAR. It's going to be dedicated to so much more. So one of the things we wanted to be very relevant with what we're talking about here. And so we want to discuss a little bit about the Dakar rally that actually started today. So for those of you who may or may not know, the Dakar rally is, if you were to combine the WRC championship and military tankers.
Yeah, pretty much.
basically they're racing in Saudi Arabia this week, or I guess it's a 14-day race. So for these next couple of weeks, they're going to be out there racing, doing stages, going through the desert and places of high risk. And it's a good race to be informed. You can't really watch the race. Like any other stage rally, it's difficult to follow the race, but there are, if you check your local listings, you'll be able to see what they do is highlights of the day, usually at night. It's usually at like 11 p.m. at night or on the Dakar YouTube channel. But it's definitely something that I wanted to talk with Mark about today, because it's something that, maybe we don't follow rally raids, which is really what the Dakar is. For those of you who have played video games, sometimes they call them like land rushes, things of that nature. But picture this, right, Mark? So you start the Dakar rally, you get to the start line, you're the co-driver, but you don't have any pace notes. And 15 minutes before it's your time to go, you get a route book, and they're like, have fun. What do you feel about that? What if they did that to you at ARA Rally when you and I were racing? Give us your perspective, because actually that's from your side of the seat. Actually,
something we've had some kind of similar thing. Obviously, not to the extent of the Dakar Rally, because the Dakar Rally is huge. We've had tulip notes handed to us like pretty much day of with no recce and no. Oh man, that was really, really frustrating. Tulip notes, I think, are very difficult to follow, but yeah, that would be very nerve-wracking in my opinion. Just from that side of the car, just like, okay, we've got 3 weeks of rally we're getting ready to do, and here's our book. We got 15 minutes ago.
You don't get the whole book. You get the book for that stage. Then you get the next book 15 minutes before that stage starts.
Something I saw something about that. Look, I'm not very familiar with the Dakar. I sort of know what's going on. I have a very big interest in it because it's essentially a much longer rally and it's a bit crazier terrain, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, some of the stages are as long as rallies that we do. I mean, you're talking like a 75-mile stage. Like, that's crazy. So yeah, I mean, that would be very nerve-wracking to me. I mean, you just get this book and you've got to kind of, hope for the best.
And for those of you who want to Google the Dakar Rally, it started in Africa, then it went to South America, and now they're what they're calling Chapter 3 in the Middle East. And basically, there's sections where you're going through the desert. There's no designated road. At least in stage rally, you have a road that you can follow, even if something were to happen to your notes. In this rally, you do have a GPS system, but it's really only for medical emergencies, so that they can find where you're at if something were to happen, and helicopters and all that good medical stuff. But you really have just this route book, which is the tulip notes that Mark was referring to. But you're going up and down sand dunes where you may go up, but you don't know how you're coming down, if there's enough space to come down. Unfortunately, this is a rally where a lot of people pass away. And, unfortunately, it's, sometimes people take a little bit more risks than they should with the bikes. Cars are flipped over, things of that nature. So it's not only an endurance race for the machine, it's an endurance race for the person, because like Mark said earlier, even in the type of rallies that we do at the local level here, you don't get a lot of sleep during a rally weekend. Now imagine that times 14 days of competition, Mark. I think you and I'd be kind of tired by day 2.
Yeah, day 2 for sure. I mean, in the car, you get kind of wore out quick in just 2 days. And you're like, you get home from your rally and you're like, man, I need a vacation from this. But we've had some of those times come around where you go home and you're just exhausted. And you're like, thank God I took this extra day off of work. But yeah, I mean, for that kind of endurance racing, they don't really get much of a break in between, from what I understand. I do know that this year is the first year they're going to allow them to use tablets for some of these pace notes. So that's kind of that's kind of nice. Still, no GPS,
right?
No Netflix, no no Hulu, no Zoom calls. you get your race suit in there is not like a, business banker suit or anything in there. So I hope you ain't got nothing to take care of. But yeah, I mean, that would just be, it's an exhausting sport, but definitely race, those guys are athletes for sure.
I don't know, Mark. Some people might disagree with you on that.
Well, that's just my opinion, and I'm allowed that opinion. Okay, I've been on that side of the car. I know how rough it is.
So yeah, no. Let me read a couple of these stats that I have here, just so that you guys can put this into perspective, right? So the rally starts in Saudi Arabia in the city of Jeddah. There's 555 competitors with 321 vehicles. Now we're talking. They call the car class. It's really more of the SUV / all-terrain vehicle class. That's the main class. Then you have your buggies and your bikes and your sport utility vehicles, things of that nature. There's 16 women competing. That's a good number. That's a high number for any type of motorsports.
Yeah, that's great.
You have 49 nationalities, so 49 different countries are represented here. Unfortunately, in the big class, it's disappointing. No American. Robbie Gordon, where are you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
We definitely miss Robbie Gordon and his Gordini. I don't know if you knew this, Mark, but he had he built a Hummer to run this race a couple of years, and he called it the Gordini because it was a Hummer modified by Robbie Gordon. So it would be nice to see him back. And hey, you never know. Maybe now that there's an electric Hummer, there could be an electric class in the Dakar in years to come.
I've never seen that. The only one that I don't know too much about the Dakar rally, so I've been kind of researching a little bit more, very interested in it. So I've seen a lot of videos of this. I think it's called the BRX from Pro Drive. Everybody should, if you love rally, you should know Pro Drive. Subaru, Colin McRae, 1995 championship, 3 years in a row. Pro Drive is great. So they're putting out this new car. It looks amazing. Got some Jaguar kind of features on it, and some Aston Martin features on it too. So it's pretty incredible.
That's because they got the Jaguar engineer to build this car.
That's right, man. It looks fantastic. I think it's the first year they're going to allow a turbo vehicle in the Dakar. Usually it's NA, or if you want a turbo, you're going to have a diesel. So this is pretty cool.
Mark, here's a pop question for you.
Sure.
What engine is in it?
I believe it is the same engine as the Ford F-150 and the Ford GT. So
you did your homework. Yes.
So same. It's got to mimic the torque curve for the. One of the restrictions for it being a turbo is the torque curve, and it's got to mimic a natural aspirated V8. So I mean, it's kind of cool that they're incorporating things like that. So it's not like, oh, you're at this crazy advantage now because you have a turbo. No, it's still got to basically mimic the natural aspirated engine. So I mean, I think things like that it's kind of an equalizer in a sense to kind of put their stuff on the same platform. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You follow me?
No, I hear you, Mark. So let me ask you this, Mark, because obviously in order for us to talk about this, both of us had to do a little bit of research. Now let me ask you this. I heard, and for those of you who want to Google this, it's the BRX Hunter by Pro Drive. Now, they also said that they're actually using this car in the race in order to use the model to build a production car. Now, Mark, you have a family, you have kids, SUVs are kind of up your alley. Would you buy one of these? Do these cars look appealing to you?
I think it looks pretty crazy. It looks, insane to me. Now, I would be very interested to see what a production model would look like,
sure.
Kind of like how much seat room do I have here? Is the dog going to destroy it, or are my kids going to destroy this thing? I mean, am I going to have enough room in the back to get other things other than my kids in this? So, I'd be very interested to see kind of where this thing goes.
And also price points, because the amount of engineering that they put into this car, the amount of money that they put in to make sure that this car runs, because of course the race car version can run through pretty much any type of terrain. These cars for this year, they're limited to 100 miles an hour, but imagine taking this car 100 miles an hour over anything. I mean, that's got to be fun. Obviously, the production car isn't going to do that, but let's be realistic. The production car is going to be, somewhat relatable to this car.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Definitely a lot less suspension on the factory model. Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested to see what it'll look like. They said they're only going to do about, they're saying like 5 a year for the initial running, and they were talking about it being a military vehicle too.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's crazy what they're trying out here, and it'll be kind of crazy to see what they come up with.
You know what's crazy, Mark, is that who they chose to drive this car at the Dakar. You know who they chose, right?
9-time WRC champion Sebastian Loeb. So
that is right, man. Sebastian Loeb, 9-time World Rally champion, like you said, has done the Dakar a couple times, and he's gotten close to winning. Now, last year he had some, manufacturer duties with Hyundai WRC, where he couldn't race the Dakar. But now this year he's free to do so. And so, kind of like they said in the articles that I was reading, this car isn't going to be at the end of the pack, because with a driver like that, he's going to find a way to the front. Right, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. I think, his skill is incredible. I mean, 9-time WRC champion. I mean, you're at the top of the top in competition in WRC. If you're the champion, obviously you've got a pedigree behind you for sure.
Now, here's another name, Mark. I don't know. Do you remember a gentleman by the name of Carlos Sainz? Yes,
absolutely. He ran for Subaru for several years. I'm a big Subaru guy. I don't know if you guys will ever know that, but he's real big with the Subaru community.
So he's running the Dakar in the Toyota factory truck in the Dakar. It's a Toyota Gazoo truck built in Africa, because they have an extension in Africa. And that truck's actually the same truck that Fernando Alonso raced it last year. I don't know if you knew that, but Fernando,
can't say that I did.
Fernando was doing a good race last year, and then he just rolled it. he rolled it coming off of a dune, and that ended his race. But I like Fernando, and I like the fact that Fernando has been doing kind of like what we're doing here with the podcast, talking about different types of motorsports, but he's actually raced it. So since he left Formula One, he's done touring cars, he's done rally cars, he's done the Indy 500 a couple of times, and now he's going back he did Dakar, and now he's going back to Formula One. So I envy the guy. I wish I could have his talent, and I wish I could have the jobs that he gets. But I digress. So yes, no, the Dakar is definitely a long race. It's an endurance race, but there are a lot of named people out there, people that have participated in the WRC, because that's kind of the bread and butter. I think that's kind of the feeder of people that go into racing. But there's a lot of competition from around the world. A lot of names. So definitely check out your local listings, follow the race, follow the highlights. NBC, I think, has the rights to the event. So it's good to check out. And as time goes on here, we're going to follow along with the race, and, we'll have some commentary for you. And, Mark and I will learn a little bit more about what it is to what it is that's happening in the world of Dakar. And, probably highlight some Americans that are racing out there. While there's no one in the main class, there are Americans racing in the bike classes, in the sport utility, quad class. So we definitely want to enjoy that.
Yeah, how us Americans, we love our SUVs and motorcycles. So
yeah. So that's it for this segment. Now, the last segment of the day, and hopefully you guys will indulge us for a little bit. And if you're still watching, thank you. We really appreciate it. So there's this new thing that I've gotten involved into lately, the world of iRacing. Now, Mark, let me tell you a little bit about iRacing.
Yeah, you should, because I don't know very much about it. So
Yeah, so about a couple years ago, I was in my bedroom. I had a computer, and I bought a steering wheel, and I thought I was cool. I bought a steering wheel from Germany. It took about 2 weeks to get here, and I plugged it in and I played it. And since I'm a big NASCAR fan, I wanted to drive the Cup car. And at that point, you could buy the Cup car for free. I took it, Mark. I hit the pedal, and I kept spinning around. I couldn't control it. The rear wheel drive just wasn't having it for me. And so, you know what I did? I was like, let me put this to the side. This ain't for me. So I had the steering wheel there for years. Now, this year comes along, coronavirus strikes, and, I'm working from home, trying to do the best that I can. And at times it's boring, because at times you do what you need to do, and you're like, well, what else do I do? I was already, gassed out on watching Netflix and Amazon Prime Video and all that stuff. And so I'm like, I got an email from iRacing. I was like, let me try this again. At this point, I couldn't find the cables that connect my old steering wheel. I couldn't find any of that. So between my brother and I, I'm like, hey, let's put in for a legit set of steering wheel pedals. Let's buy a computer specifically for this, and let's give it a go. So we did. We ordered the stuff. It came. We plugged it in, and we were racing. So, Mark, let me tell you this. I mean, they've definitely advanced the graphics. They advanced the racing. They advanced everything. I wasn't spinning out, and now I think I finally matured into a mature race car driver. And so, iRacing is basically a simulator for all types of racing. Most people probably call it a video game, but now I can truly understand why it's called a simulator. You can actually feel the aero push. You can get loose. You can get tight. Everything that anyone would experience either in oval racing and road course racing, and even in rallycross, because iRacing has extended to rallycross, that you can feel the experience in a car, you experience it in iRacing. The steering wheels that we have nowadays have what they call the force feedback. So if your car gets loose, that steering wheel gets loose on you. If it gets tight, if you lose control, everything happens. So my little story goes that I used it as a pick and play. I would there's a bunch of races. You have certain licenses. As you keep winning races or as you keep finishing in top place, you graduate your license, and you're allowed to go into a more professional type of racing. But I used to pick it up, play a couple races, get crashed, call it a day, and that was it. And I thought iRacing was so cool. I was like, I'm so cool at this. I would call you, Mark, and be like, yo, Mark, you need to get a steering wheel. iRacing is so cool. But like everything else, a couple weeks went by, and I just got tired of it. I kind of let it go. We didn't even play. I was like, it takes too long to load, stuff like that. Fast forward a couple of weeks more, I got a call from a buddy of mine. His name is Christian. He lives in Indianapolis. Now, my buddy, he's been racing in the Formula circuit for a couple of years now. His ultimate goal is IndyCar, and he's been going up the ranks. So he called me and he's like, "Hey, I have a IndyCar team, and I'm trying to see if you might be interested in joining." And I was like, "Huh, really?" Now, for those of you who don't know, I like NASCAR, I like rally, and I like all types of racing. I'll watch the Indianapolis 500, but IndyCar wasn't necessarily the highest in my my pecking order. So I was like, let me give it a try. So I start doing a couple races, and guess what? I start spinning out the car. I have no idea what I'm doing. These ovals are way too fast in the stock cars that I was driving. But he's like, no, let's give it a try. So he starts teaching me, and I start learning. And guess what, Mark? I kind of liked it. So we agreed that I'm going to be part of his team. I'm going to be his team member. So he's the team owner. Now, what I didn't know about iRacing, Mark, is that there are actual certain professional leagues out there.
So what does that mean? What does that mean, professional league? So you're getting into some terms. This is a video game. So elaborate. What do you got?
Sure, sure. So, the simulator can be a pick up and play. Like, say you're going to do a pickup basketball game, you go, a bunch of buddies, you go play. The same thing here. You can log in, pick a race, go race. But now there's people that take it a lot more serious. Now, for those of you who may be NASCAR fans, when coronavirus hit, the first thing they did is to go to iRacing and have all the NASCAR drivers do the professional iRacing series. And so basically the same tracks they go to, the same cars they go to, but they go out to and race in this virtual world. And so it's the professional series. People get money. I think right now, if you win the NASCAR professional series, you're winning like $100K, which may not seem like a lot in the great scheme of things, but I'd take $100K any day.
Oh yeah, but it's $100,000, and you didn't have to crash any cars in the process. It's pretty cool.
This is it's definitely cool. So when Christian told me about this, about a professional league, I'm like, but Christian, I have a rookie license in IndyCars. He's like, well, we can get you set up. There are certain provisions where you can get in as long as you can show that you are a careful driver. You're not causing too many incidents, that you can go in there and race. And so I did a couple test sessions with Christian, and I was like, you know what? I'm still working from home. I still have time. I don't have that travel time taking the train to and from work. Let's go for it. So Christian has been nice enough to get me into a couple races to where we did preseason racing. And let me tell you, Mark, it was fun as hell. But it wasn't the fun of a pickup race where you just go, everyone doesn't know what they're doing, people are crashing into you, and you leave frustrated. This was more the type of racing where literally everyone's a gentleman. Like, it almost gave you the sensation that you were in an actual IndyCar race, where if you go into a turn and you're 2 or 3 wide, people will lift to let you go by. You're not crashing into people. They've had the experience. They've logged the miles of knowing what they're doing. And so I'm like, wow, this is 10 times or 100 times better than what I was just doing before. And I didn't even know this side of iRacing existed, Mark. So it's been an interesting foray into the world of IndyCar iRacing.
Yeah, it's a whole new sport for you. I don't know if you've had a huge amount of interest in IndyCar, or even a desire to race in that league, so to say. So this is good for you, I think, to broaden your horizon into that sport. Maybe you paying attention to iRacing will have you pay attention to really what's going on in the Indy world now, for sure.
No, for sure. And, I joke around with people, but it ends up being a coincidence. I'm like, if Jimmy Johnson, who is my favorite driver in NASCAR, can go to IndyCar, so can I. so that was an inspiration to be able to do it. But yeah, Mark, it's been interesting with what I did. So let me tell you guys about today real quick. So today was actually the inaugural race for this league that I'm racing in. We were racing at Auto Club Speedway, Fontana, 300 miles. So we follow a whole IndyCar format of racing. We have first practice, second practice, qualifying, and then the race. And so it's interesting because here's the thing, because Christian races Formula cars in real life, he has a real life engineer, and his real life engineer is his iRacing engineer. So let me say this.
Yeah. Let's elaborate on that now, because now I feel like we're diving into the woods here a little bit. So there's more to this iRacing thing than just plug in some numbers and then you're good to go.
No, this is true, and I was very unaware of everything that was going on. Because like I said, so the guy that's Christian's engineer is a real life engineer. He's been his engineer for real racing. And so where I'm like, okay, let me grab the steering wheel and I'm going to go play some IndyCar. They're like, no. Before Auto Club, they're like, we have to do a fuel run. I'm like, you have to do a fuel run? I'm like, we're playing a game. I'm like, no. we have to have you go out there and run out of fuel so that we can calculate how much fuel you're using, what the strategy is going to be, and what your like tire degradation is going to be. I'm like, get out of here. I didn't say that to the.
That's incredible, though. I mean, this is all information that in the real car you're going to need to know this.
Oh, 100%. And like the engineer, Jason, he's got like a spreadsheet and he's running numbers and he's calculating stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, this can't be real. But you know what? Now that I've gotten to know Christian and Jason, these guys work like a team. They gel correctly. And now Jason happens to be I guess, my quasi-engineer because, I can't do this by myself. And so it's very cool to hear them two communicate. It's been interesting learning the IndyCar verbiage. We don't race track cars. I like watching NASCAR, and I can understand the NASCAR verbiage of things. Tight, loose. Over here, it's like push, understeer, stuff of that nature. So I've had to kind of learn that new vocabulary. Christian over here is talking about wing angles and end plates and aero calculators, and I'm like, at the very beginning, I was like, these guys are taking this way too serious. But as time goes on, I'm like, no, you have to take this serious because you're fighting for tenths or hundreds of tenths of seconds to either make the race, qualify, or go home. And I'm like, wow. So now I understand why this is a true simulator and not just a video game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can all sit here and play, racing games at home, Need for Speed, Dirt, whatever you want to play. But I mean, we're not putting in those kind of numbers just to, press your gas pedal and go. And, you don't need all that extra information. It's hard or easy, or, you plug in what you need to know. And then you're good to go. It's
here's another thing.
These are real people competing in that sport, and they're kicking butt. And you've got to be, if you're in a league, you're going to be expected to rise to that challenge.
No, yeah, of course. And here's the thing, Christian has been running a tight shift, and what I mean by that is we've been testing for the past 2 weeks every single day for 2 hours, 6 to 8 o'clock. Christian's texting me, where are you, bud? Because we get to do this. But it's incredible, Mark, because like you said, we're not paying to rent the track. We're not paying to rent the vehicles. We're not paying for all the crashes that I've done. I want to tell you, I've probably crashed about $1 million plus of Indy cars in iRacing. And thank God that I only pay like $10 a month for the whole service, because otherwise we'd be in trouble.
So here's something interesting that I'll bring up. So for companies that are out there and they're doing all these crashing all these millions of dollars of cars into the wall, like you say, why do they keep going on? Why do they keep going? I mean, iRacing is great. We can just televise that from now on. So
and let me tell you. So today was our first official race for this championship, right? And there are people here that have actual real-life sponsors on their car. Now, let me tell you this, Mark. Christian, he actually has his real-life sponsor him for iRacing as well. The guy who won the race, he's sponsored. Some of these people are true only iRacers, but some of these people are now using this platform to give double value to their sponsors. Now, here's the thing. In reality, the eyeballs watching an iRacing race live on TV or on YouTube, the numbers aren't there to what an actual race broadcast for real cars produce, but it's getting there. And people are liking this, and drivers are offering double service to their sponsors. And believe me, sponsors, they're pretty hard to get. You and I know this. But if
for sure.
But if I can offer a sponsor a sticker on my real race car, and then offer him a sticker on my virtual race car, and show him the value of how iRacing is growing and how this is the future of racing, I think they would take it in a heartbeat. I think it's something that we just have to show its value. And for someone like me, who I feel I'm really melted into knowing a lot about racing, I didn't know that these things existed. I knew that the NASCAR Pro Cup existed, but I didn't know that how level of dedication this gets to and how winning a race can take you pretty much to the next level, because there are people in NASCAR that did iRacing that graduated to actual NASCAR.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy that you can go from a video game to the actual car.
Yeah. So to finish up this this iRacing thing, today was our first race. So when I did first practice, I was P7. Second practice, I was P17. I qualified like P28. Now, here's the thing. About 50 cars showed up to this race, and only 33 could make the show. So at P28, I was pushing it. But this was televised live on YouTube. So people could actually go Google and see my qualifying run, which I still think is crazy and insane. Now, here's the thing. I start in the back. So the first thing I've learned with IndyCars, there's a lot of arrow push everywhere. So you're holding that wheel and you're holding for dear life. But the guy is in your ear and he's like, green, 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 and you go. By lap 16, I passed 8 cars, which I am actually proud to say. I didn't hit the wall. I didn't do anything dumb. I have now learned what the ARBs do and what the weight jackers do, and I'm in there pushing controls and getting my car to turn. And, I got the engineer in my ear asking me if it's okay, how are the tires. I had asked him that after 10 laps, he told me so that I can adjust the weight jacker so that it's a better feeling with the tires gone. So it was such a cool experience. I was immersed into it 100%. But lap 16, there's a caution. Something happened on track. So, of course, I got the blinking lights on my steering wheel, which, again, I think is the coolest thing ever. So we all slow down, and I'm like, all right, great, because I was actually fearful that we would have to do a green flag pit stop. And I wasn't doing pretty well on those, especially because I was either going too fast and getting a black flag during practice and stuff like that. So I was actually hoping for a caution so I can slowly go into pit road. But come lap 16, we get a caution. I'm rolling into pit road. I got my spotter in my ear telling me that I'm about 100 feet away from my pit box. I'm going, and all of a sudden I get punted from the back. Car number 16 decides that, he's going to park somewhere and go in my inside and punts me out of the way. So he punts me out of the way. I hit the inside wall, hit the outside wall, and I have no nose at this point. So I turn around, I go into my pits. Now, again, this is all virtual, but it's pretty cool. So they give you an option. They're like, do you need your basic repairs or your optional repairs? So I'm like, I need it all. At this point, I'm going to be at the end of the longest line. Give it all to me. So by the time I get out, the green flag is already waved because obviously I took way too long while they're doing repairs. So I come out on the apron, zero steering. Like my steering is completely gone. So again, this isn't just a video game that I can climb up on the middle of the banking and have crash into the first guy who's in first place. First of all, I get booted out of the game, probably banned from the game. There are certain rules that you get enough points, you're gone. So, I had to stop because if I went a little bit more in the apron, I was going to wash up to the track. So as I stop, that brings out a caution. Of course, now I'm the cause of the caution. So basically,
there's not much you can do if you got no steering.
Yeah, it's not much I could do. So I had the car towed back to pit road. And unfortunately, we had to call it a day because there's not much more we can do. If I go back out there, I'm going to be a hazard on the track. I'm going to be crashing into folks. And it's, when you're racing at this level in iRacing, and it's funny to hear me say that, you want to be a professional and you want to be able to finish a race within the realm of the rule book. Now, what's ironic is that Christian, my teammate, and he was a lot further ahead, on the same pit stop, had a similar incident where someone reversed in pit road and crashed into him and ended his day. So unfortunately, our team did not get past lap 16, but it was a good outing for us. We got no points. We got no team points. We got no personal points. We got nothing. And so unfortunately, now this is how things get like in real life, Mark. After this race, the top 20 gets locked in for the next race at Twin Ring Motegi. Because we finished outside of the top 20, now we're knockout qualifying. So we're not guaranteed a spot. So this could ruin our entire season. But what's going to happen is that Christian and I already have a schedule set up for this week. Starting tomorrow, we're going to be testing at Motegi and, trying to qualify up in the high numbers. And,
That's awesome. So you guys got plane tickets? Are you getting your bags packed yet? Motegi, that's a long flight from Philadelphia.
Yes, it is. For me, I'm just trying to channel my inner Danica Patrick, as we all know. It's the one and only IndyCar race that she won. And I love Danica, by the way. Yes, so that's the cool thing, Mark. We don't have to fly anywhere. I'm in the comfort of my living room, and we're practicing in Japan like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, but Japan would be such a cool trip, I mean, I don't know. You really don't want to go out. Just take your computer out there with you so you can get some of the atmosphere with you.
That would be so cool. That would be so cool. But
taking some of the real sights and smells.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Sure.
And you know what? Here's what I'll tell you, Mark. It's like now that I've done like Auto Club at speed and everything, I think it'd be cool to go drive it in real life, even if it's just parade laps in a real car. Because you know what? Now I truly understand why some of these NASCAR drivers and IMSA drivers spend so much time in the simulator now, because it literally, like Mark, you've seen races for NASCAR and Auto Club. One of the things that drivers always complain is how bumpy it is, especially on those the middle lines that cross within the asphalt. When I tell you that you're driving there and you feel every single bump in the road, is because these guys at iRacing did a fantastic job of going out there and scanning the entire track, and every little divot, every little angle, every little hole, everything from the real track is in the virtual track. And that's just amazing. That blows my mind.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos with Dale Earnhardt Jr. with them going out there and clearing out some of these old tracks for scanning. I think that's incredible. These are tracks that you can't even run on anymore, and they're going out there and scanning them to make them future tracks that you can drive on yourself. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's great. And especially for some of us who never got to experience those races on TV or actually to go there, I would love to run on tracks that we haven't run before. That would be some fun. And believe me, this IndyCar series isn't sticking just to ovals. We're doing road courses as well. And I think for some reason I'm actually being pretty good at road courses versus ovals. But we'll see.
Which is strange for a NASCAR guy.
Very strange. But I've been doing well. So I definitely want to thank Christian and Jason for allowing me to be part of this team. And, it's been a great experience. I hope to bring some of this experience more to you guys as the season goes on. And, hopefully at some point, Mark, I'd like to bring you on as my spotter / engineer. Because I think that doing some practice, even if it is in a completely different type of racing, having that communication on a weekly basis, steady like that, will help us keep us on our toes, and have that communication ready. So at some point, I'll be calling on you to be on top of the pit box there, buddy.
Yeah, that'd be fun for sure.
Great. So Mark, I'd say people have probably had enough of us by now. So I definitely want to ask you first, with this being our first podcast, any closing remarks, any final remarks for this week? The floor is yours, Mark.
Oh yeah, just excited to see where this takes us. I mean, again, I'm really excited to see what kind of new forms of motorsports that this really helps me to focus on. We're going to be talking a lot about all kinds of different things that maybe we've never really had a big interest in before or haven't really caught our eye. So I'm very excited for that. And excited to talk about, some of our adventures out in the woods, standing on a car or standing on top of a car at a podium, I mean, we've done that before too. And certainly, anything else you can think of as far as what we're going to be getting into, talking to people, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Mark. And my closing remarks here is, thank you for anyone who is watching this. We're going to start doing these on a weekly basis when possible, and just have our commentary. I know that there's a lot of podcasts out there to talk about a lot of things, and there are racing podcasts out there, but I think we want to be a little bit more diverse and talking about different situations, talking about different happenings in motorsports from our perspective, from our rally perspective, from our different city perspective, from our different upbringing perspective. So,
Absolutely.
It's something that we want to share with you guys, and hope
even our differences in car culture, I think, will come out too, and that's going to be really cool. Like, I'm a huge car culture guy. I love, building and that stuff. I don't think you're necessarily more into the building things. You just like certain cars, and you have a big passion for it. So
yes, for sure. No, from my side, it's a lot more about the racing and technology in racing, and where we're going into the future. And so we want to bring a lot of that, a lot of our personalities out in this show. And like Mark said, talk about the big old big block B8s, but also talk about the non-engine, fully electric cars. I'm really excited to start talking a little bit more about these electric rallycross cars.
Oh my gosh.
Having driven a Tesla lately and seeing how fast they are, I can only imagine how fast rallycross electric vehicles are going to be. So that'll be a fun topic to get into. And, really, if you guys have any questions, any topics that you think we should talk about, definitely leave some comments below. And with this, we're going to be on YouTube and on a lot of your premium podcast hosting sites. So we're going to be on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and hope to get into many more and get the word of what we're doing out to as many people. So with that, Mark, I want to thank you for being my co-host on this first episode.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the Go, Go, Go podcast. If you guys forget the name, definitely keep us in your subscribed list.
And one of the things that we'll do for the very next podcast is explain where the name Go, Go, Go came from.
That's right.
Next week, everyone, have a good one. And Mark, I'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely.